This is episode 4 of For the North. I am PJ.
I'm Chris.
And we're here to talk about the NFC North and recap the Week 5 game action. Talk about little Vikings versus the Browns in good old London, England. And talk about the Bengals and the Lions, their game that was a little bit flatter than we thought it was going to be for the Lions, at least on the offensive side, because the Bears and the Packers weren't playing last week. So, we can really dive into it.
And if I could say, so there was a field goal that we didn't talk about before the podcast by Will Reichard that actually hit. The NFL has confirmed this, so it's not conspiracy. It hit the wire, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, because it looked off to me when it happened. The angle looked off to me, and I was like, okay, that happened. Like, I never felt out of that game. But anyway.
Yeah, no, when that kick got missed, because I was watching that, and I was like, did he just really absolutely shank that ball? Like, I was like, that can't be. He could not have kicked it that poorly that it deflected that badly. Like, I was like, even if it gets tipped by someone at the line, like, I was like, that looked really weird. And I was like, but it's a missed field goal. I guess move on with our lives. But yeah, then they went back and showed that footage of it hitting the cable of the camera, which, I thought the NFL had figured that out, that their camera equipment isn't supposed to be in the way of the game operation.
Well, you'd think. I know a couple passes have been in question in recent history because of that, and I know other plays as well. I'm not too mad about it now. I mean, it would be a different story if the Vikings had lost, but let's talk about a Vikings win.
Vikings win.
My first note was, and I wrote them down this time, actually.
Holy crap, who are you and what have you done with Chris?
Right. Both defenses played solid, and both teams learned to play fast. Starting with the Browns' offense, Gabriel looked good.
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel looked really good. There are a lot of Shedeur Sanders fans, and I get the hype around Shedeur. I get it. And the Browns fans are willing to try anything and blame anyone for a loss, but I would say don't lose hope in Dylan Gabriel just quite yet, because if they invest in that offensive line, he could be, I'm going to say, a top 10 quarterback in the near future. I don't know that I have enough on him yet to say that he's going to be a top 5, but I could see him sneaking into the top 10. That being said, the Browns need to play. They just need to play better. But what I mean by that is their offensive line needs to be fixed. Because Dylan Gabriel got the ball out quick, but I feel like the Vikings caught on to that and just started playing short.
Well, it got to a point in the game, which, and I'll say this about Dylan Gabriel. He was a former Heisman contender. He was a candidate for the Heisman when he played in college at Oregon. So he was a very talented, very good quarterback. So obviously, if you are drafted in that high of a position, regardless of what team you go to, you have to be talented to be drafted at the position he was and eventually be named the starter. But what I saw watching the game was that it was a lot of short yardage it was a lot of short yardage passing, and the drives that the Browns were successful on, that they did score points on, they were taking advantages of the soft spots in the pockets of the Vikings defense, right? So they would get, over the middle, like they're like, okay, well, we can, get it to our tight end at the 13-yard mark. We can, keep throwing these screen passes at, 3 to 5 yard depth, and get yards after the catch. And eventually, Minnesota's defense caught up to that and started swarming to the ball and
rushing the quarterback too.
Rushing the quarterback.
One of my notes is during the second quarter right away is Dallas Turner and the Beast, and I know why, because he got to the quarterback. There were a number of other players that got to the quarterback too that day, because I think he had 3 or 4 sacks on him, I believe. And the other times he was heavily pressured. So that can affect your playmaking ability, especially with your first official NFL start. I know he played the week before, but this was a game where he was really put to the test.
Yeah, because this was the first game where Dylan Gabriel took all of the number one snaps, and he was making the play calls, making the adjustments, and doing all of it, for the first time as the actual starter. Because if I'm correct, the game against Cleveland the week before started off with Joe Flacco, and then they went to Dylan Gabriel, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, Cleveland the week before started Joe Flacco.
Okay.
And they then it went to Dylan Gabriel towards the end. It was the Browns. I mean, their offense is a mess. I will say their receiving threat really wasn't there. Although, congrats to the tight end who put up a lot of numbers on us. I will not say his name right now because, but that hurdle was impressive. I was like, wow, that's something I see in college football all the time. Not so much in the NFL anymore. I know there was a period of time where it seemed to happen almost every week, but now I only see it every once in a while, and it's amazing when it happens.
Yeah. The tight end had a good day. He was 6 receptions, 67 yards, and a TD. And he was, caught.
It's hard to guard a big body like that, too.
He was built like a frickin' just absolute tank.
The Vikings did learn to cover him, though, at the end especially, and I was very impressed with the Vikings defense all around. Especially in the second quarter. Not a lot of defensive penalties, which looked pretty great. Now, if I'm going to go over to the Browns defense. Christian Darrisaw against Myles Garrett. Christian Darrisaw is the real deal, we found out, because Myles Garrett is one of the best edge rushers in the league. And there was no way he was laying a finger on Carson Wentz when he was going up against Christian Darrisaw.
Well, just looking at the box score, Myles Garrett had 3 tackles the entire game. Not 1 sack, not a tackle for loss, not 3 tackles in total. So from that standpoint, Myles Garrett versus Christian Darrisaw, that Darrisaw won that matchup. He Myles Garrett was you look back, a couple weeks ago, week 3, against the Packers, Myles Garrett was incredibly disruptive, and he was virtually a non-factor in the game against the Vikings. So, kudos to the Vikings offensive line.
Yeah, well, and I gotta say, so like, I was not expecting the offensive line to play that well versus the pass rush. They kind of did how I expected during the run, and hopefully over the bye week here, a lot of them can be healthy, and it looks like a lot of them are coming back. But one guy I want to point out, Joe Huber, other than the 2 penalties he had,
yeah,
it was a pretty good day for him.
Yeah. Well, and mind you, with a patchwork offensive line, like to be able to come in and only give up 3. Carson Wentz only got sacked 3 times, and the sacks amounted for 16 yards loss. Like that's incredibly impressive for a patchwork offensive line that had, what were we saying before the podcast? One preferred starter
at the end. 2 preferred starters at the beginning.
Okay, all right. So you started off in an okay place and then ended in a really shaky place, but they played a fantastic game with a patchwork offensive line. Like,
right, and Kristen Darrisaw wasn't even playing at the end when Wentz had his best drive. But we'll get back to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
I want to comment on, so there was the unfortunate fumble at the beginning, which ruined a great run game by the Vikings to start. Like, Jordan Mason would seem, I was like, okay, he's going to run the ball all over the place now. Like, we're in for a day where it's going to be ground and pound. Great. I love it. I love to see old school football like that. Then all of a sudden he gets wrapped up by who else but Denzel Ward around the ankles, and then, there's I can't remember who punched the ball out, but I was like, darn. Like, but at least it wasn't like, I feel like he had the ball held on pretty tightly, and when the ball was punched out, it had to be punched out in a way that was at the perfect angle, otherwise it would have, been a unnecessary roughness call. So credit to the Browns defense for that. I think they gave the Vikings some trouble, especially in the run game. They had another fumble, forced fumble later.
Yeah.
That's where I think the Vikings offensive line could improve.
Yeah.
Is in the run blocking scheme.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, you said it perfectly there, that, like, this Vikings offense, I feel, can go really great places. Like, we've talked about this in other episodes. The Vikings have the offensive talent, right? On the offensive side of the ball, they have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Jalen Naylor and TJ Hawkinson, and they've got, when their line is healthy, they've got a great line, and they've got, a really good quarterback. They've got a really good running back in Jordan Mason. They're going to get Aaron Jones back. So, like, this is an offensive side of the ball that does really well. And if they can figure out how to run block and get this ground and pound game going, that's only going to create more and more opportunities for what Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and all these really great wide receivers can do. Right?
Right. And I will, you know what? I will say, let's talk about Justin Jefferson for a little bit. He played lights out. He looked like vintage Randy Moss that day. Receiver was on him, no problem. Ball was too high, jumped up and pulled it down. He was like, I'm willing to go out there, do whatever you ask of me, and I'm going to get it done. Yeah. I was really surprised, given how the NFL can be pretty strict on the taunting rule, that there wasn't one on the contested catch near the end. Yeah. But it was only a couple seconds too. I mean, I've seen much less be called and much more not called. So
Yeah.
taunting is a weird rule to me that seems like it's never called consistently.
I mean, I think.
And go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think in that exact moment, right? Like, I think it's very borderline on that sort of play that you could call it, right? But I think in that moment, like if you're the ref, you have to like take a step back and be like, okay, this is in the heat of a like very closely contested game, and he just made a huge play, and like we can't penalize celebrations to the point where we have robotic responses from players, right? I think like in the heat of the moment, like Justin Jefferson made a huge, amazing catch there to extend that drive and getting up and having that sort of passion and yelling and having a couple of words. I think as a ref, you take a step back and go, okay, that's okay. If you go beyond like what he did, right? I think like you said, 1 second more, and you might think about pulling the yellow flag out of your pocket. You know.
Right. You know what? I almost thought you were going to say a yellow card there. For those of you who don't know, used to be a soccer ref. So
I mean, I
I've
could
a couple
have
of those in my reffing career.
I could mix metaphors, but we're talking football, right?
Right. Well, American football. For
American football.
For all of our European listeners out there.
That's
And if you are listening from Europe, welcome. We'd love to hear from you in the comment section down below.
Yeah, please let us know if you're listening from Europe. Like, drop a comment. Follow, like, turn on notifications, do all the things to engage, because that would be impressive if we reached Europe.
And tell your friends, we'd love to go worldwide.
Oh
gosh! All right, back to the Vikings. So that was impressive. Just seeing him all game long. But you know what? We can back it up even further. To the most impressive play, which was Cam Akers throwing to Josh Oliver for a touchdown. And the Browns had no idea. They had no idea. They didn't even, the Vikings lined up so quickly. Yeah. And Cam Akers got the ball and immediately just passed to Josh Oliver. I was like, there's open space. Go, go, go.
Go, go, go.
Oh, my goodness. That was a beautiful touchdown. It was an awesome play.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're the Browns, do you have like a little bit of like a flashback moment where you're like, oh no, we're playing the Lions. They're running a trick play. Oh no. Oh no. That was, I just, like, you texted me and you're like, that was not on the bingo card. Like, literally, like, who would have thought that like Kevin O'Connell has it up? Like, he was in his bag of tricks. I gotta say, Kevin O'Connell was certainly in his bag of tricks, pulling out all the stops to ultimately win this game. And I just thought the play calling and the way it was designed, the way he schemed Jefferson open multiple times, because there were multiple big moments. Like that touchdown where Cam Akers throws to Josh Oliver. Brilliant choice of play calling. Multiple times where they needed a first down, they needed to keep a drive going. Justin Jefferson makes a huge grab.
Well, and the biggest thing too is Wentz seemed to get the ball out quick, and he took the easy passes. He took what the defense was giving him, which is a harder skill. To learn. I would say, you know what? Hats off to Aaron Rodgers the week before. Because he's been a pro at that his whole career. Yeah, and that's what caused the Vikings to lose to the Steelers, along with the penalty issue. But that's in the past. We're gonna leave that there. Going back to this game, so I look at the multiple passes to Justin Jefferson. I look at the run plays. I look at the pass to Jordan Addison at the end. Right over Denzel Ward's head. Challenges him, places the ball perfectly, and all of a sudden, am I seeing Carson Mahomes out there?
I mean, the guy we've talked about this. Carson Wentz was at one point in the talks of MVP level quarterback, and very easily could have won it had he not gotten injured when he was with the Eagles, right? And like the kid can throw the ball. Like and you know what? Let's not even call him a kid. Carson Wentz can seriously throw the ball. He's got a freaking arm, right? So, and it helps that Justin Jefferson is like always effing open. It doesn't
doesn't matter if someone's on him.
Yeah, right.
He's always open.
He is the type of wide receiver, right, where you truly say, if I have a whisper of room, right? Like if you see me separate by an inch, I'm open. Throw it to me.
Could you argue that on that play to when he caught it versus Denzel Ward, like basically took it off of the defender?
Yeah.
Could you argue that he mossed him?
You could. You certainly could. I mean, I would and I know we've seen him make incredible plays that and the comparison line has been made that he is like the new Moss, right? But however, I saw Moss do some incredible things for many, many years, so I am hesitant to crown him Moss, right? Like I'm hesitant to call him the new Randy Moss. I think just
right. But you gotta say, like, at some point, if he keeps playing the way he's playing,
yeah,
he's going to have that comparison coming up here. And I think by the end of his career, he will either be on par or, if not better than what Randy Moss was. And we still have to see that.
Yeah. Well, I think he's on pace to eclipse, Randy Moss's numbers and what he did already. So
even on pace to eclipse Jerry Rice's numbers as well.
Oh man.
I mean, that'll be tough.
Yeah.
But I think if there's anyone in the NFL today that could do it, especially with a backup quarterback right now.
Yeah.
It would be Justin Jefferson. I'm not going to say that it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
But is he on pace to if he stays healthy throughout his whole NFL career? Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Like Justin Jefferson, like I said, Justin Jefferson is the true definition of he is a number one wide receiver. Like, if anybody was given the chance, like, who do you want to put on your team right now? Who's the wide receiver that you know that you're throwing to 100% of the time?
And can I say this? He is the number one wide receiver in the NFL right now. There is no debate about that. Some might say, like, oh, well, Jamar Chase did this but I'm like, is Jamar Chase making those amazing catches to help you win games? Is he being a team player? Is he saying, like, oh, you don't got to throw the ball to me? He's like, I'll run around. I'll get guys on me. You can throw to the other side of the field. Especially when they had Jordan Naylor, that was a common tactic. But I don't see a player like Jamar Chase making that sacrifice for their team to go on a winning stretch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jamar Chase with Joe Burrow is a different wide receiver.
I agree. But hang on. Would you argue that with a top caliber QB that Jefferson would probably eclipse his numbers that he's putting up now even?
Well, he already has without an elite QB.
But still, would you argue that with an elite QB that Justin Jefferson would be getting more passing yards, would be making more plays than he is now than what he is with Carson Wentz. And no disrespect to Carson Wentz. We both talk about him highly. Not even any disrespect to J.J. McCarthy as well, given, everybody's criticism of him. And we'll talk about that in a minute or two. But I would argue you put an elite QB, and I can only take one, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. I know who I'm taking.
Yeah, well, you'd want Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah, well, who would you want? Yeah, who would you want personally? Who would you take? I mean, you love both of them.
Could I have option B where I get both of them?
No. You get one or the other.
But if it's one or the other, I want Justin Jefferson. Like, like the guy's always open. Like, there have only ever been a few wide receivers where I'm like, dang, I'm truly envious of the fact that the team that I don't root for has that wide receiver, and like, it was like it's like Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, Kelvin Johnson for for Detroit, Jerry Rice, San Francisco. I'd also put Randy Moss in there, and then they're like those are probably the wide receivers. Well, and then like wherever Devontae Adams was, I was like I enjoyed watching Devontae Adams, so
yeah.
But my number one right now is like, dang, I'm envious of the fact that the Vikings have Justin Jefferson and we don't. Like that.
Yeah.
That makes me really upset. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about the defense a little bit here. Vikings defense. They're not doing it. I mean, they're not doing an overtly amount of they're not having this huge number turnovers that they did a couple weeks ago versus the Bengals, but their coverage was good.
Yep.
I will say that Dylan Gabriel got the quick passes out early. Mm-hmm. Vikings seemed to learn who was where and what the play scheme was of the Browns later on in the game. And then the run defense was kind of mixed throughout, but at the end of the game was phenomenal.
Right. It's the perfect example to me. Like the word that I would say is that over time, it slowly wore the Browns' offense down. Right. Like this is the staple to me of the Brian Flores defense for the Vikings specifically.
An injured Brian Flores defense.
Yeah.
Let's just say riddled with injuries as well this season.
Yeah. Just this kind of signature, this staple of the Brian Flores led defense for the Vikings is that they they might have this beginning quarter or a couple of quarters where you're like, I don't know, they're not playing too well, and then all of a sudden this switch flips and they start to the pass rush starts to get home, and that makes the job of the corners easier, and then all of a sudden the whole defense is swarming to the ball and you're like, where was this in the first half? Now all of a sudden we're getting attacked by pass rushers, the corners are making plays left and right, the linebackers are swarming to the ball, you're like, okay, we can't do anything, and Brian Flores is like, yep, I'm a genius. and it just kind of slowly over time, it's this faith in Brian Flores probably has to tell his defensive guys, nope, trust in the scheme, we're going to make the plays, we are talented on this side of the ball, we are going to get stops, we will win this football game. You texted me throughout the entire game where you're like, I don't feel like we're out of this. Even when they were down by 3 points, even when they went down at the beginning of the game 7-0, there was never a sense of panic because the Vikings defense, whether they're playing from behind or they're playing with the lead, is always going to keep them in the game. Right? So,
which is important,
it
too.
is.
I mean, granted it was versus the Browns, but you look at it versus the Steelers too. Like, other than the penalties,
yeah,
the play itself was good enough to keep them in the game.
Yeah, it was.
And might I argue that the Vikings should be 4-1 right now.
They should.
But
better word,
I
I say maybe not should, could be 4-1. Like,
right. I mean, with how the game played out at the end there, versus the Steelers, they should have brought it into overtime at the very least.
Yeah, that's what it set up as. Like last week when they were playing in Dublin, like I was like, okay, this drive is setting up for them to kick a game-tying field goal, or they're going to go down and do everything they can to try and win, to score the game-winning touchdown, right? And at a minimum, I wanted to see it go to overtime because I was like, this would be a really interesting game to watch. Aaron Rodgers and Carson Wentz sling it back and forth and see who's going to win in overtime, right?
But they were throughout the game.
Yeah.
It was that delay of game penalty where it was just poor coaching at the time. Albeit I love Kevin O'Connell. Some Vikings fans might not agree with me there, and that's okay. Yeah. Because I feel like, I don't know, I'm sick, and this is an old person rant a little bit. I am sick and tired of different fans giving up on their coach so early in the season, especially not trusting the process, like, and giving up on different players too. Like,
yeah, one bad game or one bad play call from a coach like that, it's never indicative of the entirety of what a season is going to be. Because like,
right.
Like it's that, like, it sounds really cliched, but it's like a football season, and like if you look at a football season as like this long-term thing, right? Like the goal is to try, everybody wants to get to the Super Bowl. Like it can't be a sprint out of the gate, right? Like it's going to take some time to figure it out, and it's a marathon, right? Like, so like you need to give some time for the process to work and let the coach figure out, okay, in this situation I need to call this play. And like Kevin O'Connell went on, he had his press conference after the loss to the Steelers. He had his press conference after the loss to the Falcons, and he said, it's on me. I need to call better. I need to do a better job. And taking ownership like that as a coach and saying, okay, it's on me. It's, I need to be better as an individual, shows that like there's clear maturity and growth to be had. And I will never understand why fan bases, specifically, I am, a supporter of a fan base that does this, where one thing goes wrong and we all of a sudden are calling for everyone on the staff to be fired. Mm-hmm. And the next week when we win, it's all peachy keen and the sun is shining, and we want everyone to have their contract extended into the year 2050. So
yeah. I mean, you could argue that for any sport. It's really disappointing. But let's talk a little bit, since we have a little bit of time, and we'll get to the Lions in a minute. So first we'll talk about the Vikings pass rush. I was really impressed. I just couldn't find anything that was... if I'm the Browns, I'm like, or if I'm a team playing against the Minnesota Vikings, I'm like, how can I stop this group of personnel? Because they were bringing four, like, they would switch it up. Like, not one guy would be in the same spot, and they'd be like, oh, where is Jalen Redmond? All of a sudden, he's sacking the quarterback, and you're like, oh my goodness. That guy, I believe undrafted, he was undrafted, was a free agent coming in, and just wreaked havoc. Two free agents playing on undrafted free agents. Actually, three on Sunday, if you count Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen didn't do much, but we don't expect him to do a whole lot given, his age.
Yeah, I mean, he was a late off-season acquisition, and he's there. He's a depth piece. That's what.
Yes.
Thielen is.
Pretty good depth piece, if I may say so myself. But Jalen Redmond and Joe Huber, the two standouts on both sides of the ball, undrafted free agents on each line, and I was like, how do the Vikings keep finding these quote unquote farm players? I feel like that used to be the standard in the NFL. But now it's like, oh, let's go get out and get the shiny new toy.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is it's a good it's good scouting, good coaching, and good development. Like it's just like when you have a system where you can go out and you can find a guy that you can plug into the roster and say, okay, you might not have been at practice this whole week, right? But like we're gonna plug you in to the starting lineup on game day, right? And they go out and make an impact. Like a guy on the offensive line that goes out and in a pinch starts, makes an impact, and affects the outcome of the game on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball. Like that's good coaching, good scouting, just overall like good team management when that sort of thing happens.
Well, and I can say that's what sets Quasi apart from Spielman.
Yeah. Chestnut checkers.
I mean, I don't think Spielman was terrible. I just don't think he was great either.
I think it's just so and we've talked about this like way back when on other podcasts. There gets to be a certain point in the NFL where eventually the strategy or the system or whatever the general manager or the coach or the scheme is trying to do, eventually the NFL kind of figures it out and it starts to surpass these certain people, right? And Spielman was the perfect example of a GM that kind of got stuck in this old school thinking of the NFL, thinking like we need this type of player and we need this type of coach and this type of scheme to win. And they spent so much time, Spielman kind of spent so much time dragging them backwards and being like, no, this is how we're going to win. And finally you see them get Kevin O'Connell in, then you get Brian Flores in, you start to draft guys under Quasi that are mega talented and making an impact, as I said, on both sides of the football.
Right, and not every draft pick's going to work out, but three that I have in mind right now: Dallas Turner.
Yep.
Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Gosh, who was the other one? Well, and this is a maybe, but I think he's going to pan out. J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy is a talented QB, though he is a young QB.
Yeah. I mean,
so he's still got some growing pains he's got to go through.
Yeah, time will tell, and I think the biggest thing for J.J. McCarthy, what I don't understand right now, is the amount of people being like, the amount of Vikings fans being like, well, we should just get rid of J.J. or he's not good or they're writing him off, and it's like, what J.J. McCarthy needs is A, to get healthy, and B, for him to do anything in the NFL, he needs to play more games. And over time, you need to trust the process, and it will get better. Like that.
Hey, PJ, who gave a certain Packers fan the same advice about Jordan Love a few years ago?
I might have panicked a little bit. You did give me that advice. You did give
right.
me that
And
advice.
I said, you know what? Like, Jordan Love isn't as bad as people are making him out to be. And I think the same thing with J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
I am not saying that Jordan McCarthy is. This is where this is where we acknowledge how late it is.
Yeah.
And how we've aged a little bit.
Yeah. J.J. McCarthy.
You know what? I'd love a talented Jordan McCarthy to come in and take the Vikings by storm. Give him the arm strength of Jordan Love and the decision making in college that J.J. McCarthy had.
Wow.
And I think you're set up for success. But
yeah.
I think J.J. McCarthy had a decent last quarter of the Chicago game.
He did.
But it was one from where they were behind, and the defense held up its part of the bargain, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to go out. I'm going to make sure that I do what I need to do to get the win.
Yeah.
But then you look at the Atlanta game where he was getting sacked left and right, and I'm like, when you got about 2 seconds to throw the football, especially as a young quarterback, you're not always going to get that. Like, you're not going to be able to make those plays. Now I feel like if you play him behind a decent offensive line and he doesn't perform well, you sit him for another year. I do want him to play quite a bit this year, just due to the fact that he needs the NFL experience.
Yeah. No,
I honestly believe that the Vikings could go to a decent spot in the playoffs this year. I don't know if it's a Super Bowl winning year, but you look at it, I've heard this analogy a lot. He's got the Lambo or Ferrari. He has the keys. All he needs to do is drive it.
Yeah.
And not crash it.
Yeah. Which that's a lot to ask for a 21, 22-year-old that just got is just becoming an NFL starter. But I think the upward potential, the ceiling that we could see is very high. There's a lot of unknown we don't know up here, but there's a lot of potential there. But the thing with young guys in the NFL is the floor. Where is the floor, right? And we've seen, so far it's a small sample size with JJ McCarthy. We've seen some really high highs where we're like, wow, that was great, good decision making. Okay, this offense can function really well that way. End of that Bears game, great. Against the Falcons, that was to me was the floor where I was like, okay, nope. But again, we're talking about he doesn't have a healthy offensive line. He was missing 2 wide receivers. There's a lot of X factors to it, but where is the, a lot of upward potential, need to find out where the floor is, right? So.
Yeah, I think the ceiling for JJ could possibly be if we see what happened throughout history with another famous Michigan quarterback who everybody loves to hate, as well as I do. I think the ceiling is there.
Yeah.
Whether he achieves that or not is yet to be seen.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It could be. This is the great thing about a young quarterback. But like I said, he needs to get healthy, and to get the experience, they need to play him. Let him.
Well, and on the other side, McConnell's got to be like, hey, you know what? Until he is 100%,
yeah,
I will not play him, even if it's later in the season.
Yeah. Well, because that's what got him in a tricky spot with that first year. He had a knee that was bothering him or an injury that was bothering him, and he went in the preseason game and then ended up tearing the meniscus, right? So
Yeah, which is a minor injury. A lot
minor.
of people are like, "Well, this is kind of major." Like, I don't know. I'm like, while it's not fun, um, I haven't torn mine. I bruised mine in soccer.
Yeah.
While it's not fun, it's
You can recover from it.
yeah, it's something that you can recover from.
Yeah, I mean it's not but like if it depending on the grade of it, right? Like you can recover from it and get back and it's not a season ending sort of injury, but just I think the way that it kind of stacked out for JJ when he came in at the beginning, like he already had an injury that was bothering him, and then he had the meniscus tear, and he had to go in for the surgery, and they just said, "Okay, let's shut him down for the year," and just kind of, then enter Sam Darnold, and here we are, right? But
Yeah. Switching gears now
yes.
because it's about that time.
It is. We've talked about the Vikings for quite a while, but that's okay. That was that.
We only have 2 games this week. We have
Yeah,
that luxury. Yeah.
it was. I mean, to be honest, though, the Vikings Browns game was the most interesting game of that slate to me. Like there was some crazy stuff that happened, but like of the games that I cared of in the NFC North, there were only two. The Vikings Browns game was way more interesting than the Lions Bengals game.
So yeah, the Lions Bengals. The question that comes to mind for me is: are the Lions in trouble? And I would say yes if they cannot find a way to sustain offensive drives against good football teams. Not even great football teams right now. Like you look at it,
Yeah.
if the defense at the end kind of played pretty mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery in front of his home crowd, hats off to him, had a great game.
Yeah.
However, I did not see anything spectacular from the Lions, nor did I see anything that told me like, oh hey, they could go out and win a Super Bowl playing like this. And granted, I feel like in terms of the Super Bowl race right now, the one that looks most likely to win it, and this is something I never thought I'd say, Jacksonville seems the most likely to win it right now. Just based off how they've been playing, you could argue strength of schedule and all of that.
I mean, if I had to pick today, Indianapolis.
They've been playing well too.
Yeah, I would pick the Colts. I think they're really good right now, but Jacksonville too is another that's a that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother episode. That's a whole nother side quest that
right. We could go on for hours on those two teams alone and how well they've been doing. But coming back to
the
Lions,
yeah.
I think the Lions, if they can't get it together on both sides of the ball, especially later on, they'll be in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I think like this is the thing about the Lions. Like we've discussed this in previous episodes. We've said this before. Jared Goff and David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, like the Lions have an incredibly stacked roster on the offensive side of the ball, and that's kind of been evident up until last week that they, are winning games because they have a talented, stacked offensive roster, right? But they're, for the first time against the Bengals, they just looked flat. Like they won still, and it's because and I think we discussed this before the podcast. It's more because the Bengals are not a good team. It was less about the fact that we saw this dominant offensive performance uh, yeah, it was less about seeing a dominant offensive performance, and it was more about, oh my gosh, Jake Browning is terrible. Like he threw three interceptions, and we're like, oh my god, Jamar Chase is not making, Jamar Chase, T Higgins, they're not making an impact on this game, and Detroit, off of turnovers is capitalizing on a short field and kind of giving us this inflated sense of like, oh, that offense is good, right? But put the ball on the 25-yard line, any offense is going to be good, right?
Right. Well, and you look at it, those first two quarters, both the defense and the offense should have done more. Yes, the defense, they did stop them from getting, key first downs. I will give them credit for that. However, I don't think that they played well enough against two top receivers if you put a different quarterback in there. If Joe Burrow goes in there, I think wins that game due to his decision making versus versus Jake Browning. And also, you know what? I gotta say, to Jake Browning, I've got a few choice words for you based off what you've said to.
Well, he famously had a video screaming on the sidelines about how Minnesota should have never cut him.
And then we beat him, by however many the last month. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like looking. So like in the first and second quarter of the game, right? That first half of the football game, Detroit only scored 14 points in the entirety of the first half. Their drives went touchdown, fumble, punt, touchdown, punt, punt. Like that to me does not communicate or show me that this is a juggernaut of an offense that we thought it was 2 weeks ago. Like we were talking about the Lions offense completely differently when they put up 50 points against the Bears. Now, granted, it's against the Bears, right? But like still to put up 50 points on any opponent in the NFL, considering the caliber of players that you draft and the quality of the product that you're watching on any given Sunday, putting up 50 points is impressive. But then to only put up 14 points in the first half and punt, you have one turnover and 1, 2, 3. Like you punted 3 or 4 times
against the Bengals.
Against the Bengals.
Who have a terrible? Could I say that the Bengals have a terrible defense? One of the worst in the NFL.
Yeah, they on both sides of the ball, they have been just god awful. They rank like somewhere like almost dead last.
Right, and both you and I, we have no issue with the Bengals. Like this is one of the teams we could both agree. Like we want Joe Burrow to do well as long as it's not against the Packers or Vikings. Right. I mean, if I'm saying like, oh yeah, I'd rather have the Bengals beat the Packers so the Vikings have an advantage, sure, and you'd say it's the other way around. But at the same time, I'm like, you don't have an offensive line.
Yeah.
Your defense sucks.
Outside of Trey Hendrickson, they don't have a good defense on multiple levels of that defense.
Right. But at the same time, so like I say that to say your defense sucks, but then you look around, if you're the Lions, you're like, if I'm the Lions, if I'm Dan Campbell, I'm not happy with this win. Like, I'm happy that I got the win, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy or seeing enough from my football team to prove that I can go on a tough stretch.
Yeah.
And win those games.
Right. Well, it's like this is a game that you win, right? Like you won this game, but you let them hang around, right? Like they scored the Bengals scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Like, and so they made it a lot closer in the end than it ended up being, right? But like, I would agree that if you're Dan Campbell, you have to be pissed off about this sort of win. Like this is not something where you say, okay, we're proud of this, because you should really have comfortably, comfortably scored, to me, 10, 20 more points in this game. You know, like I, I really think that you should have been able to put up, been up 21-0, 28-0 in the first half. You know.
Oh, definitely, 100%. Especially and
look what the Vikings did.
I don't know. I think you know what. I don't know if their offense has been exposed or what. I don't, or if it just has been the fact that they haven't had a lot of offense this year. And you have those players where it should be happening. It should be clicking for you. And then the thought that goes to my mind when I process that is that the coaching needs to be better.
Yeah.
The play calling needs to be better.
Yeah.
For them to win good ball games versus tough opponents.
I mean, so like looking through their schedule, right? Like have we been maybe a little bit deceived by the way that the wins stacked out because of who they played? Like in week 1, like you said, the Lions came out and they looked sluggish, right? They were not prepared to play the Packers in week 1. They lost. And then they rattle off 4 wins in a row against the Bears, who have, at that point in week 2 had not really figured it out. Their defense got their butts absolutely kicked. They give up, they put 52 points on the Bears. The Ravens, who we discussed, a week ago, the Ravens are not as quality of a win as they were in week 1. The Ravens are, arguably to me, starting to become more and more of a bad team, right? And
yeah, but as the injuries pile up.
Yep. And they won that game 38-30, right? And then they beat the Browns. And we talked about, the Browns, when they face the Vikings, when they face the Packers, they're not a good offense.
Right, against a washed-up quarterback like Joe Flacco. And you know what? I hate to say that because I love Joe Flacco, but if I was him, I'd retire.
It's time to retire. It should be time to retire. And then against the Bengals this past week, you only beat them 37-24. So, like I said, I think we might have been a little bit deceived, or we might have been too quick to crown this offense as the juggernaut that we thought it was. Because we're going to talk about this when we get to previewing the upcoming matchups. They have a really tough stretch ahead of them. The Lions do, where we're gonna see what sort of team that they are. They play the Chiefs. They play the Buccaneers. They play the Vikings. They play the Commanders, the Eagles. Those are, that stretch of 5 opponents are some quality teams where we're really going to figure out, okay, what can this offense do, and how really good is this team, on both sides of the ball.
Definitely. And I think with that, we can move on. I don't want to talk anymore about that game because it was just
there's not much to say.
Right. I'm glad I chose. I tried sitting down and watching through it, and I couldn't watch through the recording.
I watched the highlights.
Yeah. That was what I ended up doing too, and then looking at the box score and all that. Yeah. Let's start with the Bengals at Packers for predictions. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if we see the Packers team that we saw versus the Cowboys, they have a chance. The Packers have a chance of losing the game. I don't think they will, I think they will step up. I think that the expectation is high, and I'm sure that's what they talked about during the bye going into this week. I have the Packers up by 7 to 10 points.
7 to 10 points. Okay. So I like that. So you got the Packers winning over the Bengals, 7 to 10 points. So this, so there's, this is a game where, pardon me, pardon me, editing magic. This is a game that the Packers should and could comfortably win, right? Like and I say should and could with a lot of weight to that because this Packers team, when they played the Cowboys in week 4, gave me a lot of things to chew on in the bye week, a lot of things to digest and think about, right? I had a very different picture of the Packers week 1 through 3, right? Versus what I saw in week 4, like losing to the Browns and then having that what ended up being a tie and a mess on Sunday Night Football gave me a different picture of the Packers. But the Bengals, as we discussed, do not have a good offensive line. They just traded for Joe Flacco, who is, as we discussed, he's, I don't want to say washed up, but yes, he's washed up. He's past his prime. And they're putting a really unathletic, immobile quarterback behind a bad offensive line. This is a game that, to me, the Packers should win by 10, 14 points. I'm not going to be bold and say that they're going to win by 20 points, but they should win this by 10 or 14 points. Otherwise, I'm going to be upset about the result. But
yeah. I also don't know why you put it in like prime time at 3:25. I don't know why you. I mean, I do because they probably thought the Bengals were going to be great with Joe Burrow and all, but
yeah. Like you clearly see that was a matchup, right? That if that's Joe Burrow versus Jordan Love, and you have a healthy Joe Burrow and you have Jamar Chase.
Oh, then I'm if it's Joe Burrow, I'm going Joe Burrow by 14 all day.
Yeah, no, I mean I would be legitimately concerned if this was Joe Burrow. I'm not concerned, but there is a certain level of panic that I have for the Packers defense and how they're going to perform.
Well, and it seems like the Packers historically have underestimated opponents.
Oh, yes, 100%. They do this very aggravating thing under Matt LaFleur where they never seem to want to, or the play calling never is indicative of like, we are going to comfortably stomp, put this opponent away and stomp on their throat and absolutely bury them. It's always like, well, we got up 24 to 10 and now we're just gonna like go into coast mode. And I'm like, please don't do that. Like, continue to push and try to actually score. I really hate watching games where the Packers go up like 21-0 and we're like, okay, this is great. Look at this awesome offensive football and the defense is clicking on all cylinders, and then Matt LaFleur is like, let's back it off, and the Packers end up winning at 27-10 or 27-17. And you're like, that became really nerve-wracking.
Or losing by a field goal.
Right? Like that's what happened against the Browns. They played conservative and they played scared, like the pass rush was going to cause a huge problem. And when they needed to make a big play, Jordan Love threw an interception and set up the game-winning field goal for them. So I really just hope that the Packers, at this point, to me, the Packers are the biggest. The Packers are who are going to beat the Packers if they lose on Sunday, right?
Right.
This is not a game that the Packers should lose. They should win this comfortably. And that's really what I have to say about it. It helps that it's at home. Packers are playing in Lambeau, and that should help out. You have your home crowd, and that should hopefully you know get you a win coming out of the bye week. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, let's go with the Bears versus Washington. Um, I like Washington in this matchup, especially with how they played the Chargers. I think this could be a potential trap game for Washington, though, if the Bears play as good as they did going into the bye.
Yeah. I mean, the Bears have looked for the past couple of weeks. They have looked really good. We've talked about this. Ben Johnson is an incredibly talented coach. Caleb Williams, not Caleb Johnson. Caleb Williams has this high potential, this high ceiling, right? He's incredibly athletic. He can make the plays. He's shown that for the past couple of weeks. With that being said, this Monday night football rematch of the game that ended in a Hail Mary for Washington last year. This is a really interesting rematch to me. I think I'm leaning more towards the Commanders. I think it's going to be close though. I'm going to say Commanders by 3.
I was going Commanders by 7 just because I think they have overall. I think they have the better unit, and the Bears.
Yeah. The
What
question is,
they beat the Cowboys.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that the Cowboys are a good football team.
Their defense is not their defense is not good, but that offense is, I think, legitimately. Dak is playing, you know.
Oh, I love Dak Prescott.
Oh yeah,
I will still say, like, against a great defense, Dak doesn't put up those numbers that he has been.
No. Yeah, I like the Commanders. The question is Jaden Daniels gonna play? Do we know if Jaden Daniels has gotten beyond the whatever knee injury he had in week 2 against the Packers? Because I know it's been Marcus Mariota.
I mean, I like both quarterbacks.
Yeah. Either way, I think
he played last week.
Oh, okay.
Versus the Chargers, and he had 231 yards for a touchdown.
Okay. All right. Well, so in that case, there's my question answered. I clearly did so much research going into this.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens there. I think it'll be an entertaining matchup. I think it could also be one of those games where Jaden Daniels just, like, goes off and, has, like, a curb stomping defeat, like, just curb stomps the Bears, and
I would
gets a 10 to 14 point lead. And that's no shout out to my boy Robert Harper. He he's a huge Bears fan.
Yeah.
And I want nothing more than Caleb Williams to do well.
Yeah.
However, I don't think the Bears have fixed all their problems in the offseason. So I think they struggle versus the Commanders and in the future.
I mean, I think, like, for what I see, like, and we talked a little bit, like, when we were talking about the Vikings, about this, like, what we see in the long term. For the Bears this year, like, in the long term, I see them as, like, a 7 or 8 win football team this year.
Which is not bad. Which is improvement.
It's improvement. Yeah, like, it's improvement from where they've been, right? So, like, I still think, though, that, like, I agree with you. They did not fix all their issues. There's so many things. Like, you can't have all of the toxic locker room culture and the changing of coaches and all the players going on and giving interviews and talking about how terrible Eberflus was and have that be fixed in one off season. Like, it just, that's not how, a locker room full of grown men functions. We're talking about a whole new unit and team. But yeah, this I would love if it was a Monday Night Football curb stomping by Jaden Daniels, because you know how much glee I take in watching the Bears lose. It you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's go to the game before on Sunday night, the
Big
Lions
matchup.
versus Kansas City, and I think that Kansas City takes the Lions for a ride on this one. I think the Lions will be exposed with a good offense. I do think that Kansas City could possibly lose this game, though with the talent they have on their roster, it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, I like Kansas City on this one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Kansas City by 7.
Okay. I mean, so
It's also in Kansas City too, which is my main.
yeah, yeah. So I was about to mention that. I was about to say what I see. I foresee a couple of things here. I think I like this game. I like this matchup. I like this game for. I think the Chiefs are in kind of this delicate place that they haven't been in a while, right? Like they're 2-3, but I still think that the Chiefs are a dangerous team, right? And I don't think we can ever count them out. Like Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and Xavier Worthy, they have a talented team, and there's a reason why they've been to the Super Bowl 3 or 4 out of 5 years. Like there's a reason. And Andy Reid is an incredibly talented coach. The other thing I see is this is a home game for the Chiefs, and there tends to be a little bit of home cooking with the way that the calls go and the way that the game seems to come out in Arrowhead Stadium. And like that's not to say that I think that the refs are going to call this in a way where they set up the Chiefs to win, but I think there could be a little bit of home cooking on the calls going slanted more towards the Chiefs way in this game. Um, I like the Chiefs to get right, to get to 500, be 3-3, and beat the Lions, expose them a little bit to show, hey, you haven't really played a true elite kind of upper tier team yet. So I'm gonna go. I agree with you, Chiefs by 7.
Yeah, and for those that say Kansas City aren't as good as last year, I'm like, this is the almost the exact same record they started out with last year.
Yeah.
It's almost identical.
And look at where they ended up last year.
Yeah, I mean, they got completely outplayed during the Super Bowl, as we saw. The most boring Super Bowl.
Oh God, it was terrible.
No, the Kendrick halftime show was great, and also how he called out Drake, who is just an awful human being. Awful. And that I don't need to say any more on that.
Yeah.
But the fact that Kansas City had that record, still made it to the Super Bowl, was impressive. But it goes back to what we talked about, 2-3 weeks ago, where Adam Thielen was like, hey, I've been on teams that had started 2-5.
Yeah.
And we've been all right.
Yeah. Like, we made it to the NFC Championship. Like, it's like you just never know. Like, a team that starts off 0-3 could end up in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. Or, like, a team that starts off undefeated, 5-0, could miss the playoffs. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't know about it. I wouldn't know anything about that.
That's a bunch of BS, and you know it. both you and I have experienced the incredible highs and the very, very, very low lows that can be experienced with both of our teams.
Yes. And the Vikings have been one of the few teams that have gone 0-3 and made the NFC Championship. Granted, it was under I feel like you put McConnell in there on what he's been doing now with that personnel, And this is a lot of what ifs, but I think you make a better run in the NFC Championship
Um,
than.
let's just talk about the fact that if you had a different quarterback than Case Keenum, you might have had a considerable shot at winning that game.
Right? Yeah.
Like
I mean, there's a lot of
there,
different factors you could put in there, but
hindsight is
you know what?
2020.
You have the quarterback whisperer, put in there, so
Yeah,
that's a different story.
yeah, the quarterback whisperer, man.
Oh, also, you know what? Let's talk about this real quick. The fact that a coach, the Cardinals coach, so now we're going on to other NFL news. Actually, you know what? We'll save that for another time.
We'll save that for
we'll
another
organize
time.
that.
Yeah, we'll organize that. I think this is a good wrap up point. We've so to recap on our picks, we both have Packers, we both have the Commanders, and we both have the Chiefs for our picks.
Yeah, but with the potential for some of those to be a trap game for each of those teams.
Yeah, they could be trap games, and we hope that we're not heartbroken. is what we'll say about that. But I think that's a good wrap up point for this episode, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Be sure to like and subscribe down below.
Mommy.
Or if you're on Spotify. Are we on Spotify yet?
We're working on it.
We're working. Once we get on Spotify, it'll be above us.
It will be above us. We'll let you
know. It really depends on where you're listening to your podcast. But thank you for listening. Thanks for listening to us ramble on in our sort of pre-season first season here.
Yeah.
I think we can sign off.
All right. Peace, everyone.